Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who's taken the time to join this webinar today. I'm Anthony Prakash. I lead customer solutions for Cognizant's assetSERV group, which focuses on everything digital experience, specifically DAM platforms and solutions and supporting technologies. I'll be a moderator for this morning. We have a very interesting topic lined up today with a couple of industry speakers. First, we have Jitin Agarwal. Jit, as he's known, runs the assetSERV group for Cognizant. Jit brings in 20 years of industry experience across running different ventures across digital and digital experience. Second, we have Anjali Yakkundi from Forrester. Most of you already know Anjali, but for those of whom you don't, Anjali is a senior analyst from Forrester serving application development and delivery professionals with focus on digital experience and more specifically DAM. The topic for today's discussion is empowering digital experience delivery and marketing automation. And we'll have Anjali talk about the importance of digital experience delivery and what is happening in the marketplace today, and then Jit will come in and talk through what are customers doing, are you ready to get on this journey and move along, and then we'll wrap it up with questions. So from a timing standpoint, we'll take about 20 minutes for Anjali and 20 minutes for Jit, and then we'll take questions. You can send in the questions through the GoToWebinar questions panel, and then I'll take it out and put it in front of Jit or Anjali as it's applicable. With that, I will turn it over to Anjali.
Great, thanks for the nice introduction, Anthony, and it's great to be here presenting in front of you all. So just wanted to start a little bit by talking about what is the importance of customer experience and marketing automation. And so how are we doing that and how are we empowering that today? So if we go to the next slide, we'll start with a little bit around the state of digital experience market trends. I'll talk a little bit more about some of the other issues around digital experience marketing automation, and then how DAM fits into this big ecosystem of technologies. So let's start with customer experience. I think a lot of us have seen the customer at the center of a lot of their different strategies, and there is a lot of press about customer experience today. Recently, companies like Home Depot and Delta have announced huge sums of money being dedicated to customer experience, upwards of $1 billion or more dollars. So as we're seeing this amount of money come in, it's really all about putting the customer and customer experience at the center of everything. And at Forrester, we really believe that customer experience is truly going to be your business differentiator. It's not going to be manufacturing like it used to be. It's not going to be the information and connected global distribution systems. Today, customer experience is really the key business differentiator. And as you can see on the next slide, this is because customer experience leaders are greatly outperforming the market. So this is some data done by Watermark Consulting. And what Watermark did is they took Forrester's Customer Experience Index. So this is a methodology Forrester has to identify customer experience leaders, those who are meeting customer needs, who are offering easy, enjoyable, relevant, useful experiences that meet customer needs at their moment of need. Excuse me. What they did is they mapped customer experience leaders and mapped their 8-year stock performance and total cumulative returns. And they compared those leaders to the average S&P 500 index cumulative returns over the past 8 years, and also mapped it against customer experience laggards, those who weren't meeting their customer needs. And what they found was that customer experience leaders, those who were really meeting their customer needs, were greatly outperforming the market by over 30%. And what they found were customer experience laggards were greatly underperforming the market, again by almost 30 to 40%. So here we find that customer experience is a key differentiator and is leading to tangible business results. It's truly affecting the bottom line. So customer experience leaders are doing things different. And the reason why it's so difficult to really transform your customer experience. And that's why these leaders, those who are able to solve the customer experience needs, are finding competitive differentiation. And as we can see on the next slide, the reason why it's so difficult today to deliver a digital customer experience is because it's no longer just a campaign. It's not about putting out like a great TV commercial or a great campaign or a really nice website. Today, as you're thinking about delivering digital customer experience, you need to prioritize engagement at every point in the customer journey, on every device that a customer is going. And this is what we're calling the customer life cycle. You need to engage with the customer across their life cycle. And the customer life cycle is really an enterprise's view of the phases that a customer passes through over the course of their ongoing relationship with you as a company. And this is, we're saying customer, but this is both a B2C issue, but it also is a B2B customer as well. So this is equally applicable to both types of groups. And the phases of the customer life cycle are all the different phases that they go through as they engage with you as a company. So it starts with discover. It's how does a customer or prospect discover your product or your goods or your services. It's how they explore and compare what you're offering compared to competitors. It's actual purchase. So how are they purchasing your goods or services? What's the transaction? It's how you're engaging with customers as they use your goods and services. And if they need help, what's the customer service and customer support? This is often one of the most critical customer touch points. And then it's ongoing engagement. So how are you ongoing engaging with customers, whether for some companies through loyalty or other ways they can re-engage with customers and create repeat customers and repeatable business. This is so challenging today because we need to, at every point of this life cycle, spark interaction that's contextual, that's brand rich, that's interactive, and that's omni-channel. So this is really difficult today, and we can't do it with the solutions that we have in place today. So as we see on the next slide, we need new, modern solutions today to support customer engagement. So I started by talking a little bit about Home Depot. Home Depot announced about a year ago that they're investing about $1.2 billion in customer experience. A lot of it came into modernizing their solutions that support customer engagement, all the way up from the web technologies all the way down to their supply chain. So this is a huge investment because they realized their legacy systems were holding them back. So organizations today need new, modern solutions to support customer engagement. And as we see on the next slide, this is what Forrester calls business technology solutions. And so they're really key to that marketing automation and digital experience story, because BT solutions are what we call technologies, systems, and processes that help us win, serve, and retain customers. So these technologies are all about how we're going to win, serve, and retain our customers. And they're fundamentally different than IT solutions. So IT solutions are very different. IT solutions focus on back office infrastructure and applications. BT solutions, though, focus specifically on applications and infrastructure for customer experience. IT solutions are disciplined and slow. They're very traditional delivery methods. But BT solutions need to move with greater agility. We can't wait 2 years anymore to deliver a software solution. So BT solutions prioritize agility and time to market. We need to deliver that experience to our customers faster than ever. So we need to do that by implementing solutions with greater agility. That means that unlike IT, which is heavily on-premise and licensed software, BT prioritizes cloud-based infrastructure and applications when it's appropriate. This might mean software as a service if you don't have a lot of customization needs and you need to get to market really quickly, or it might mean more of a platform as a service, a single tenant hosted model, so that you maybe can't get up and running in a couple days, but still speed up time and have partners help you manage the infrastructure and manage applications. So cloud-based infrastructure and applications is a core tenet of business technology. IT focuses more on security. That's not to say that BT is not focused on security. I think we've all seen these data breaches from all of our credit card companies and Sony and all of these companies. These are hugely detrimental to your brand. So BT still prioritizes security, but it's security plus speed and agility. So today we're focusing on both. We're focusing both on standards and security as well as speed. And so BT prioritizes all of these, not just one. That means that unlike IT, which is very risk averse, BT needs to take some risk when appropriate. So BT solutions are open to a little bit of risk. And that might mean things like, if there's a small startup SaaS vendor out there who's doing some really innovative things, you might want to choose that vendor over the traditional large vendor who you normally chose. So that's one example of risk tolerance. These BT solutions then need to support customer experience. And so if we go to the next slide, BT solutions support customer experience that's omni-channel. So they need to support omni-channel experiences that are brand rich, that are consistent, filled with brand images and brand content. They support customer experience that's quick to market, so that agility, you can meet customer needs more quickly. They need to support customer experience that's contextual, that's personal, individual, and relevant, and engaging and interactive customer experience. So if we think about BT solutions and that they need to support these goals, DAM becomes key. Digital asset management, as we're defining it, is solutions that help you create, manage, and leverage rich media content. And if we think of DAM as a BT technology, it clearly helps us move with greater agility by increasing our ability to leverage content. It helps manage content that's some of the most brand-rich, interactive, and contextual content that we have, and leverage that content across channels. So if we think of a real-life example, let's look at someone like Lego. Lego uses a huge amount of rich media on their website, on their social channels. They even produce webisodes, so they're actually creating original video content. So this is how much they focused on content marketing, that they're creating original webisodes. They use a lot of rich media in their store, in their product packaging. And lastly, and certainly not the least important, is on their mobile channels. So their mobile applications have a great amount of rich media content. If this is the new engaging interactive experience of the future, DAM is key because it holds the keys to all of this rich media content that we're leveraging in different ways to promote greater customer experience. So this is what DAM should be today, how DAM can help us with these BT technologies. So let's dive a little bit deeper into the state of the DAM market and some of the key challenges that we need modern DAM solutions, these DAM for BT, what we need these solutions to solve. So here are the 3 challenges that DAM for BT must solve. The first is that DAM for BT must help us better leverage assets to deliver engaging experience. So I'm showing this customer lifecycle again, where we're trying to help support our customers as they're discovering, exploring the transaction, the service, ongoing engagement, and loyalty. So DAM for BT needs to become more of a central repository to help us create global, consistent, and brand-rich experiences. It needs to be that repository to manage this omni-channel interactive content. As such, it needs to then allow other systems to leverage digital assets. That means that we need to do more to integrate DAM into delivery solutions. This means so that these solutions like your web content management, campaign management, email marketing, e-commerce platforms, which are responsible for delivering your web and mobile and other experiences, can both push and pull this interactive content into and out of their system. So that deeper integration will help us better leverage assets. As such, we also need deeper support to help us enforce rights and usage of these assets. So this is going to be critical as well, so that we're using these images, these videos appropriately across the globe. And lastly, we need a DAM solution that helps us leverage assets in a smarter way. It needs to add a little bit more intelligence to the system. So for example, we don't just want to use a DAM to be a parking lot for our assets, but what if the DAM system could tell us this asset performed really well on this segment and on this channel, so we can make better decisions about how to reuse those assets in the future. This type of intelligence is going to be critical to our content marketing initiatives. So this type of intelligence helps us not only put a parking lot to leverage assets, but actually add intelligence, so we're leveraging the assets in a better, smarter way. So this is the first kind of key challenge that DAM for business technology needs to solve. So let's move to the second challenge, which is that we need a DAM system that promotes greater agility and automation. So a lot of us have heard these terms like marketing agility and marketing automation. These are key trends today, and these are key business challenges. So the way in which DAM can help us promote greater agility, work with, go to market faster, is a typical DAM kind of DAM business value, right? DAM can help us avoid content recreation costs. I still talk to many customers who are recreating content in different regions, who are recreating content based on the channel type. So what DAM can do is help us promote agility and promote automation by allowing us to leverage content and avoiding recreation costs. But it can also do a lot more than that. DAM can also help us automate some of our manual processes. So a lot of us are stuck in old, outdated kind of tagging, a million tags to each asset. The DAM for business technology solutions help us automate some of these manual processes, whether it's by things like cascading metadata so that it takes some of the burden from our users from tagging. It may also help us ingest existing taxonomy, so we're not coming up with everything from scratch. So these types of processes alleviate some of the burden on our DAM administrators and our users, and that way we can move more quickly and promote more automation into the system. Again, it's more than just DAM as a parking lot. It's really DAM with a little bit more intelligence. It can also promote automation by doing more to integrate. And so I think the integration into solutions is so critical. So how you're integrating into these delivery tiers is going to be very, very important so that you can automatically push and pull content. Lastly, DAM can help promote agility and automation by streamlining some of our processes around creative and approval. So a great example here is an organization that we spoke to, a global CPG company, consumer product goods firm. They used to just do all of their content approvals by going to the desk of the digital marketing team or legal team. That's how they approved content. And as they grew and they become more global and their content marketing initiatives expanded, this was a huge time sink in everyone's time. It made everything much more cumbersome. So what this organization is doing now is they're using a DAM system with workflow capabilities and collaboration capabilities so they can better streamline their creative and approval processes. There's more accountability. There's more process involved so that now content's getting approved faster and getting to customers much faster. So this is how DAM can help us, again, by more than the parking lot. DAM is really managing some of the creative processes. The last tenet, the third challenge that we really need DAM for business technology to solve is cloud delivery. So our key imperative to support customers is that we need to move faster. cloud can help here. This might mean leveraging multi-tenant software as a service models to speed up time to deploy, but it may also mean platform as a service models. So those of us who have more integration needs or deeper configuration or customization needs, platform as a service might be a better and more practical cloud option. So that's one way in which cloud can help. DAM for BT also needs to balance both the agility and the need to extend and configure. So DAM for BT, our key challenge is going to be how we're prioritizing, configuring, and extending the solution, but limiting our customization needs. So we don't want those over-customized DAM solutions of the past. That's DAM for IT. DAM for BT needs to prioritize configuring and extending the solutions rather than over-customization. This means that we're going to have to be smarter about how we gather our requirements when we're implementing DAM solutions and work with our business users to compromise on feature functionality so that we're not over-customizing for no reason. So cloud delivery is going to be critical here, and with that, we need to prioritize these more packaged approaches to digital asset management. So those are the three main challenges that we need DAM for business technology to solve. So where can you get started today? We've talked a little bit about the customer experience imperative. We've talked about some of the BT solutions and why business technology is going to be critical, and what are some of these the characteristics and key challenges that DAM for BT must solve. So where can you get started today? So let's wrap up with some recommendations, and then I'll pass it over to Jit. First, as you're thinking about customer experience, prioritize those interactions and interactive experiences across the customer lifecycle. Don't just think about a campaign or a commercial or how you're going to acquire the customer. As you're thinking about customer experience, it's all of those touch points. It's not just how you acquire a customer. It's not the marketing funnel anymore. It's truly about delivering experience at every point of engagement and sparking engagement at all of those different points. As you do this, look to BT solutions. These are the solutions that are going to be modern, that are going to help you enable those omni-channel, brand-rich, contextual, interactive experiences. So BT solutions are going to take the budget. It's not going to be IT solutions. And so as we invest, we're going to move our budget away from IT and into BT. As we do this, we need to consider DAM as a key BT solution. And we need to think about these DAM for BT solutions as more than a parking lot or a repository for content. We need DAM solutions that help us better leverage assets and make smarter decisions about how to leverage those assets. So we need DAM that has more intelligence. We also need DAM that helps us with more of our processes and how to increase our agility and go to market more quickly. So again, no longer just a parking lot for those assets, but a solution that can help us move more quickly. So with that, I'll pass it over to Jit, and Jit can talk a little bit more about the state of DAM and what some of the customers are doing.
Thank you, Anjali. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that enlightening set of slides on really looking at the DAM market space, what the importance of DAM is in the BT, and how BT pertains to how we really drive marketing automation and some of the challenges that we face in the market space. Folks, I'm going to talk to you about why DAM is becoming a must-have in today's digital marketplace, followed by how it's a catalyst for driving that digital experience and marketing automation, and then close with a look at how you might want to assess your DAM maturity and where you might want to go to get a further sense for how you really leverage DAM to be successful in your business, to be successful in your enterprise, to drive that digital experience. Remember what Anjali said, if you're a customer experience leader, you're going to get something on the order of magnitude of 25 to 30% more value than the average market return. And if you're a laggard, you're going to be somewhere between 40 to 50% less value. So if we equate the difference between a laggard and a leader, it's almost an 80% difference in market value. And that's not trivial. So that's why it's important. But why is DAM becoming so much more critical for us? Next slide, please. If you look at the marketplace right now, the digital explosion that we see, in 1 second of internet traffic, you'll see something on the order of magnitude for Twitter of 11 new customers and 5,700 tweets. I guess it all depends on whether Kim Kardashian is tweeting that day or not. But regardless, it's a ridiculously large amount. If you look at Google, they'll get 4,600 searches in a second, and they'll be generating $1,600 of revenue. I would like that business model. If you look at Amazon, they'll get 51 purchased items and approximately $2,400 in revenue. I like that model even better. Last but not least, if you look at Facebook, they'll get tens of thousands of likes and posts and lots of data going up and down. And all the usual suspects are here as well: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. The net is, next slide, with all of this content, you're looking at a great deal of pain, right? With the great growth and the phenomenal explosion of assets and content and information in this age that we now live in, there's a great deal of pain. If you look at what customers are telling us, that 84% are trying to find digital assets, and that's their biggest challenge when they're in the enterprise, in the workplace. 71% of organizations have a challenge or a problem providing their users, their enterprise, with access to the right assets. What are you trying to get to? What you need to get your job done? And 71% of the time, we can't get it for you. And then on average, employees are looking for assets 83 times in a week. 83 times in a week is almost 9 times a day. So if you look at it, at the end of the day, actually, I'm wrong, it's almost 20 times a day. If you look at it, they fail to find assets 35% of the time. So 1 out of 3 times they're not finding what they're looking for, and they're looking about 20 times a day. Finally, with the DAM solution, that failure rate drops to 5%. So you have a 7 times higher success rate with the DAM than you do without a DAM. And if you're in this age of the deluge of having all of this content, all of these assets, and that much of an experience with the market space, you really have to be able to drive that. And how are you going to drive it, and in the context of all that's happening? So what are all the BT type solutions that are out there, and how are you going to be able to make it successful? The next slide talks about how much of a challenge this actually is for folks driving marketing automation and marketing agility. It's non-trivial, right? If you look at just the comparison of companies providing marketing technologies, trying to solve that BT problem that Anjali referred to, that number is more than doubled in 1 year, between January of 2014 to January of 2015. And it's looked to double again in the year ahead and moving forward. So it's not a small challenge. It's a huge marketplace pressure and push. Clearly, the customers that we have, the enterprise, the business users, our internal users, our marketplace, our end users, our B2B, our B2C, or our B2B2C customers, all of these folks are struggling with this challenge of how am I going to really leverage these digital assets successfully. You've seen the deluge of assets that are happening. You've seen it's a challenge for the enterprise, and you've seen technologically it's a challenge as well. So now let's talk about how and why DAM facilitates this solution. We're going to talk about how DAM is a catalyst driving digital experience in marketing automation. Specifically, how does that work, and what does that look like? Next slide. It's not just an era of content being king. It's an era of context being king. And what that means is the relevance of content that matters. It's getting the right message to the right channel, to the right consumer, to the right place at the right time. Making sure that you're right all of the time in that chain ensures that your content is delivered in a way that makes it contextually relevant and makes it useful and powerful to the customer. That is how you take this digital morass that we're faced with, whether it's consumers or business partners or business B2B2C or employees. This is how you get the power to them. This is how you make and solve that problem of 84% of the customers not being able to get to the content, 71% not getting to the right content, and 1/3 of the time not finding what they're looking for. If you can solve this problem of context, then you've solved the problem of the Gordian knot, so to speak, of how you can get customers what they're looking for, when they're looking for, and adding that value in. That's the marketing agility that Anjali was talking about, and how you're driving that agile nature in the enterprise-wide and throughout your business. Next slide. So if you look at it, the way we view the world, it's that the marketing channels that are happening, and again, that slide is there for your reference in the digital explosion, with rich media is leading to this chaos, right? It's leading to this explosion that we're having to deal with, and the context is what provides that solution to helping your enterprise, helping your business succeed in market. And the context is provided by the DAM. So next slide. From our perspective, what DAM brings to the table is order to the digital chaos, right? And that's essentially what we're doing. By providing that context to make it king for the customer, making that content king for the customer, you're really providing order to that chaos. You're saying, if you're looking for a piece of content, I'm going to help you able to find it. Why? Because I know when you produced it, I know who you produced it for, I know what are the key words associated with it, I know the time frames, I know the campaigns, I know the uses, and I'm able to ensure through the DAM that you get what you're looking for. So you're able to really make it powerful. Next slide. So when we say context is king, what we're really talking about is how context is king delivery through a DAM. In other words, the DAM has the contextual information, like demographic information, based on the information provided through your content or your users, information on behavioral type characteristics, what's happening on the historical level here, situational type information, where are you located, which geography, which region, which street, which block in front of which store, where are you headed, predictive, where are you going to be walking in front of a store that is looking, that you're looking to buy something, are you going to be in an aisle of a store looking to buy something, are you online looking to buy something or take a transaction or looking for more information for a B2B or a B2C or a B2B2C type situation. All of this information, all of this context is a part of the DAM knowledge space, is a part of the DAM from an experience management perspective. And what we're proposing and what we're enabling is the ability to leverage that context that's in a DAM with respect to any piece of content and to utilize that context to serve up to the customer the right piece of information at the right time, in the right way, at the right juncture where they're looking for it. And that's the critical way that you really drive the marketing automation. You drive this to be a business technology. Because if you're going to drive the customer's experience, you're going to drive that digital experience for the user, that's ultimately what it is. Anjali was giving an example of Home Depot. She was giving an example of Lego. We have multiple examples of other companies in the CPG space and in retail and in manufacturing, logistics, all of the verticals that we work with. If you look at it, it's the ability to drive that content to the customer when they're looking for it based on their needs. That's what makes the content really valuable. It makes it not marketing schlock, it makes it actionable information that allows them to take the next step in managing that life cycle of the customer that Anjali was referring to. Whether they're looking to discover, they're looking to buy, they're looking to use, or they're looking to become a loyal patron of this product and this brand. All of those aspects of the relationship matter. Knowing what part of the life cycle they're in, that gives you the contextual setting for behavioral, the situational. Those kinds of things are critical to driving and delivery of the content. And the DAM is going to be the repository that enables all of that to happen. It's by virtue of the DAM that you know this is going to be a user that is in this situation versus another that is predictively going to do this behavior versus another. And you can serve up content on that type of information. Next slide, please. If you think about the driving force and the objectives of marketing automation. What they're really focused on, that whole objective of marketing automation, is to take what the marketing organization does, whether it's driving websites, digital ads, looking at social and mobile and social media, moving to print or moving to magazines, working on web banners, working on brand activities, rebranding, public relations activities to drive the brand and market, or maybe even looking at content to drive consumption. All of these activities, whether they're marketing management, real-time personalization and promotion, or campaign management, all of these activities are dependent upon or centrally focused on a DAM to enable each of these aspects, each of these attributes. Anjali talked about omni-channel and making sure that your content is leverageable across multiple channels and reusable as a result. That is exactly what a DAM drives, and the ability to make it omni-channel and get it out there, and from one, writing it once and publishing it to multiple form factors, ensuring that the brand richness is preserved by virtue of these activities, making sure that you have that brand consistency that you're looking for and that brand governance to ensure it looks and feels the same throughout the enterprise. At the same time, preserving that quick-to-market perspective. You want to be out there fast and agile. You can't take forever and a day to generate your message. For example, we all know about Oreo's you can dunk in the dark tweet during the Super Bowl power outage a couple of years back. If they had been slower in responding to that or hadn't come to that in that time frame, nobody would have talked about it. It's much like Poland Springs when Marco Rubio stopped to take a drink in his rebuttal to President Obama, and Poland Springs didn't respond for a week almost. That was too little, too late. Finally, contextual and engaging content. A DAM is going to be the key to ensure, from a marketing automation perspective, you have that contextual content, what's relevant to the customer in their particular part of the life cycle, and that it's engaging. You'll be able to validate, as Anjali was saying, because we're not looking at a DAM as a library, as somewhere where you go that's, well, maybe people don't go anymore, where you would go to check it out or some sort of holding bin. But content in the DAM is really living, breathing, and more importantly, usable, actionable by the enterprise for every customer in every situation, and that's what gives it more intelligence. For example, one of our clients looks at assets in the repository and gauges clicks, so they have an idea of what kinds of ads or banners or content that they have generates more clicks than other content, thereby giving that market intelligence on how to drive future content based on the behavior of past content. So that's an example of how you really leverage the DAM as the driving force, pushing forward each of the aspects of marketing automation. Now let's talk a little bit about the marketing supply chains. Next slide. If you're thinking about the marketing supply chain and how a DAM can help automate that, you're thinking about, how do I publish and share assets on multiple platforms, right? How do I take something from one creative copy that the ad agency gave me, put it into print, get it into mobile, get it into social media, get it out onto a potentially website, and then also leverage it, take advantage of it with my sales and field marketing force, so that I'm out there selling it one message consistently across all my channels, the omni-channel story. And that's really where, if you're looking at marketing supply chain, a DAM is fueling or enabling that activity to happen. If you want to think about how do you do on-the-fly type content manipulation and grabbing a bit or a snippet of content, which is, of course, critical in this day and age with the time to market in the social media space, you really want a DAM to help enable that. How are you going to get that nugget of information and push it out there quickly to all of the channels that you're marketing? You're going to need a platform to do that. How do you really capitalize on your team's time? Your organization is lean, and if the truth holds any further, it'll become leaner moving forward. It's do more with less. So how do you do more with less? How do you really optimize your organization? If you give them the tools and technologies so that the 35% of the time they're looking for something and can't find it now becomes 5% of the time where they can't find it, you've suddenly found efficiencies and optimizations in your organization's time. You're able to say, look, you can find what you're looking for when you're looking for it, in the right way for your use, whether it's a print asset, whether it's a web asset, whether it's a mobile asset. All of these are different form factors, different sizes, different resolutions, different weights of files. And so at the end of the day, getting them what they need when they need it with a 7 times success rate versus not having a DAM, that will mean huge dollars and efficiencies and more importantly, huge campaigns that you can launch out there. Last but not least, if your organization is able to move more quickly as a result of a platform that really facilitates this marketing automation, that business technology enabling your organization to succeed in the marketplace, then you're really opening up the doors to innovation. You're really opening up the doors to what else can we do with this content? How else can we utilize this content? One of our customers was able to take a look at their existing content repository and determine that they had multiple revenue streams that they weren't taking advantage of because they really hadn't thought about how else they could use their content and where else they could resell and license their content and generate additional income and revenue. So that innovation happens when you have that foundational platform and capabilities that allows you to go to market quickly. You're able to then say, okay, I have this content, I can reuse it now, and how do I use it to drive more visibility, more dollars, and more demand for my products and services? And that's critical to the success in the marketplace. If you're going to be that leader, if you're going to recognize that 80% increase in market value versus a laggard, it's going to be because you have done essentially these two things. A, you've enabled marketing automation, all of the capabilities that the marketing organization needs via a platform to facilitate that. And B, you've really taken these marketing supply chains that exist today that you have and your organization is struggling with and really optimize them to be able to drive that value down to the bottom line. Next slide, please. If you look at this visionary and revolutionary, one of the things that he said was you've got to start with the customer experience and work back toward the technology, not the other way around. Classic example of this is the iPhone. Nobody knew that they needed or wanted an iPhone until Steve Jobs and Apple decided to give us one. Same is true for the iPod and same is true for the iPad, which is why he is who he was. At the end of the day, if you think about the way we view DAM and what we're seeing DAM in the marketplace, it's really connecting the dots between the technology and the customer experience. If you think back to what Anjali was saying, the business technology is doing exactly that, connecting the dots between what a technology enables and what the customers are looking for. And the way we're doing that is by providing the contextual information that makes the content and the material more relevant. And the DAM powers that, right? How do you have a digital transformation? How do you transform the company digitally if you're not going to have a central repository of digital assets? That's kind of like saying you're going to sell products, but you're not going to have a warehouse or a distribution center to be able to get those products to the store shelves or to customers. That's not going to happen. Same thing with this. Without a DAM to connect the dots between the customer experience and technology, you're not really going to have that marketing-driven, that customer experience leader type status. You're going to be stuck in the laggards category, waiting for something to come along to help you really kind of get over that hump and make it to the next level, right? And that's the critical thing that you have to think about, is how are you going to really drive that experience and be that dot, connect that dot, and as Steve Jobs said, how do you start with the customer experience and then figure out what technology you need to enable it, instead of necessarily force-fitting a round peg into a square hole. Now let's talk about the last aspect I'm going to cover today briefly. Next slide, please. So let's talk a little bit about how matures your organization with respect to DAM and what kind of things should we think about from a maturity standpoint. Next slide, please. Maturity assessment is really just the first step towards the journey on discovering and achieving that desired state, right? Getting to that Steve Jobsian type universe. Wouldn't we all enjoy and appreciate that? I know I would. But at the end of the day, it's a journey, it's a process, it's not a light switch. And the digital asset management maturity assessment is really a first step in that process. Next slide, please. What it looks at is how your who it's designed for is individuals in the sales and marketing organization, individuals in IT, folks that are really embarking upon a digital transformation, that are looking to take the next step on how they can, remain or drive competition in the marketplace, or that they're not necessarily happy with where their journey is today. And it's really for the CIO, the CMO, and people in their organizations to really get a sense of how are they doing to really optimize and drive that value, get that future state that everybody's interested in, and really making sure that their platform, their processes, and their people, their organization is designed to support and drive that kind of optimization, value return, and that marketing automation, enable that marketing automation to get that leadership position to drive that adoption in the enterprise. Last slide, please. If you look at the way the marketing assessment works, maturity assessment works, it'll look at your organization and look at it from a perspective of where are you from your DAM strategy and where are you from your DAM capability, and then take a look at understanding whether you're a nascent player, someone who's beginning the journey, to someone who's emerging, you've adopted some technologies and you're looking at deploying them, versus someone who's operationally running but perhaps isn't aspirational enough, to then finally someone who is optimally leveraging both the strategy and the approach and the go-to-market as well as the platform to be able to make it happen so that you're successful. The critical thing to remember about any DAM implementation is it's about the people, the process, and the platform. It's not just about the platform. It's not just about the people. It's not just about the process. It's like a three-legged stool. Without all three components of people, process, and platform, you are potentially bound to failure because one of those three legs isn't strong enough to support the stool. Not a lot of two-legged stools out there. And at the end of the day, if you think about how it works for your organization, that's what the maturity assessment is designed to do. Give you a view, a sense for where you may need to bolster and take a look at your organization and really push it to the next level so that you can achieve that leader status, get that 80 to 85% increase in market value or bump in market value, right? Achieve that Steve Jobsian view that you're focused on the customer experience and the platform as an enabling technology comes thereafter, and really get that kind of position. So last slide, please. Go today, if you have a moment, assess your DAM maturity index. It's at assetSERV.com, and you can take a look at it and get your own view as to where you stand and then potentially what you may want to do. So with that said, I am going to turn it over to Anthony to bring it home.
Sure. Thanks, Jed. The first question we have is for Anjali. It comes from Mark Knudsen. Anjali, the question is, are customer experience and digital experience interchangeable from what you're seeing? And a related question to that is, you spoke about the returns on customer experience and as it relates to the S&P index. Is that across industries? I mean, do you have any more details that could go into industry-based data?
Great. So I'll start with the first one. There is a difference between digital customer experience or digital experience and customer experience. So digital experience is really a subset of customer experience. Because if we think of customer experience, our customers interact with us as an organization on both digital and non-digital touch points. So some of these non-digital touch points may be things like customer service or in-store or other touch points that are in person or even print. And so these are examples of non-digital touch points. But I think what we're seeing is that digital customer experience or digital experience is really a subset of this. And this is where we're seeing the most disruption with mobile, with the explosion of new touch points, of IoT, and now this idea that we have more and more touch points where we need to deliver experiences. And I think that's where DAM can absolutely manage content that's non-digital, for customer experience as a whole. So if we think of print content, for example, is a great example there. It's non-digital, but it's really in the digital experience where DAM is managing the most complexity. So I hope that answers the questions. In terms of the data, it's cross-industry. It took cross-industry customer experience laggards and leaders. I don't have vertical specific data there. I would encourage you to look at Watermark Consulting put out a more detailed report, and so if you just go on their website and you can find more details on that, but that's not from Forrester. So.
Okay, thank you, Anjali. Jit, the second question is for you. You spoke about what happens in the digital world in terms of digital chaos, and all the data that you had there was all related to social media. So are you saying that companies are using DAM for storing that kind of information as well, or what is your experience in that space?
True. If you look at today are moving their DAM platforms, we've talked about, and Anjali has talked about, how you really want to make it a BT technology, something that really drives that business value. And today, marketers, as well as everyone, goes where the customers go. And the customers are definitely interacting in and interacting on social media platforms. So almost all of our customers are leveraging their DAM to push assets and content to these social media platforms, whether it's pictures to Instagram, whether it's posts to Facebook, whether it's Twitter feed content to Twitter. I mean, all of that can and should be driven by a DAM that's really driving your business forward and driving that automation. I mean, what better way to leverage your assets than to utilize it and publish it in fast-moving content and fast-moving areas like social media? So absolutely, Anthony.
Okay. Thank you, Jit. The next question is for you, again for you, Jit. So you spoke about the importance of context in the whole digital experience delivery. I mean, is that all done just by DAM, or are you seeing examples of integrations being used with other systems to come up with this overall customer experience at the end of the day?
I think Anjali said it best when she said that the DAM systems of today and moving forward are going to be highly integrated solutions that have a back-end component that touches on and interacts with and integrates with other existing systems. The enterprise data doesn't live in a silo anymore and is spread out across a number of different systems, whether they be ERP solutions or some sort of PDMs or PLMs or enterprise ERP, or they be some sort of web-based mobile solutions that have a downstream website, CDN, or distribution type perspective. So whether they're upstream or downstream, the DAM of tomorrow is going to have to be integrated with all of those systems to be able to pull in that composite view of a customer experience, be able to deliver that in the marketplace and successfully. So it's an integration that brings all of that data forward that makes it successful.
Okay, thank you, Jit. Anjali, I'll give you this question. It comes from Tracy Schneider. How do you think, or what do you think about the relationship between DAM systems and CRM systems?
That's a great question. I'm seeing, it depends, what types of CRM systems. I'm seeing more integration with CRM into like the web content management solutions and the e-commerce solutions. Typically, those are the solutions that are looking to leverage customer data and customer information to better contextualize the experience. So I'm seeing more of those solutions looking to integrate with CRM. I see less CRM and DAM integration needs. I think with DAM, the bigger integration needs that I typically see are with these delivery solutions like web content management, e-commerce, campaign, email, etc., those types of solutions. As well, and when it comes to downstream solutions, it's typically like MDM or PIM or product information management, especially if you're a consumer product goods or retail type of firm. They're typically looking for that downstream integration, or with like ERP or PLM for similar organizations. I think those are typically more common integration points, whereas CRM I'm seeing more from these like web content management solutions.
Okay, thanks, Anjali. And the last question we have so far is, what makes a DAM different from a MAM? I am assuming that's marketing asset management. Anjali, you want to take that?
Sure. I think the industry in general has. I think we have too many acronyms. There's digital asset management, DAM. There's brand asset management, BAM. I guess that would be marketing asset management, video asset management, etc. I think there's a lot of acronyms out there. So what I typically recommend to our clients is focus on the business case. I think historically MAM has been used for maybe more like departmental level solutions to manage marketing and rich media content. But really, I think these different acronyms are all different names for essentially the same type of technology. So I really encourage my customers to think of all of these as digital asset management. They may solve specific needs. Some may be more marketing focused, or some may be more focused on video. But really, I think the core functionality of these solutions is essentially the same. But I would say historically, MAM solutions have been maybe more departmental focused. I use them now interchangeably. I use DAM as kind of the umbrella term.
Okay, thanks, Anjali. We have one more question. Jit, this is probably for you. This comes from Jerry Kobiski. How does the DAM maturity model that you spoke about help measure the customer experience delivery capability?
It's a great question. So if you look at the way digital asset management maturity works, it looks at all aspects of the enterprise, whether it's the people, the process, or the platform. And if you look at what's critical to ensuring a good customer experience, it's the combination of those three things. It's by virtue of the context on the content being provided to the customer at the right time, you're able to have that higher or better customer experience. So in order for an organization to do well on the maturity index and to show or demonstrate to themselves that they're able to drive that better customer experience, it would be an organization where they have the platform enabling that type of capability, they have the processes in place to leverage it, and they have the people to really drive it and make it happen, because it's not going to happen by itself. So at the end of the day, the maturity model absolutely ensures that you're looking at the digital experience and how you're driving that digital experience for the customer. And it's not necessarily about DAM as it is the digital experience for the customer, and that's how we take it into account. Does that make sense?
Sure, thanks, Jim. All right, so I think we're at the end of our webinar. I have no more questions, but if you do have questions, directed through Henry Stewart, Jeanette, who is on the webinar, or you have the contact details for both Anjali as well as Jit on the deck. You can relook at this particular webinar, recorded webinar. Jeanette will be sending it out to all of you. And we thank you again for taking the time to attend this webinar. Until next time, thank you very much and have a great day.